My name is Lily. I am 26 years old, and this is my story. It is a story about love. It is a story about loss. And it is a story about a promise. A very difficult promise. The man I loved was dying. His name was Leo. He was my world, my everything. We lived in a small town. The houses were not too big. The streets were quiet. We had a small apartment above a flower shop. It always smelled sweet, like roses and fresh rain. Leo loved that smell. He said it was the smell of our life. Simple and beautiful. Leo was a painter. He painted beautiful pictures, full of bright colors, full of sunshine, just like him. His smile was like the sun. It made everything warm. It made me feel safe. I worked at the town library. I liked the quiet. I liked the smell of old books. My life was Leo and my books. It was a happy life, a simple life. We had dreams. We dreamed of a small house with a big garden. Leo wanted to plant sunflowers. He said they looked like happy faces. We dreamed of traveling. We wanted to see the ocean. We wanted to feel the sand between our toes. We talked about these dreams every night. They felt real. They felt close. Leo had a brother, an identical twin brother. His name was Ethan. They looked exactly the same. Same dark hair, same kind eyes, but they were very different. Leo was the sun. Ethan was the moon. Leo was loud and funny. He loved to talk. He loved to laugh. Ethan was quiet, serious. He watched things. He listened more than he talked. I loved Leo with all my heart. Ethan was just Leo's brother. He was always there in the background. At family dinners, on holidays. He was kind, but distant. He would help with anything. He fixed our leaky faucet once. He helped us move a heavy sofa, but he never stayed long. He would do the job, give a small, sad smile, and leave. I always felt a little bit of sadness around him. I didn't understand it then. Our life was perfect. I thought it would last forever. But forever is not always as long as we think. It started small. A cough that didn't go away. Leo started feeling tired. Very tired. He was a painter full of energy. Now, he needed to rest a lot. "I'm just working too hard," he would say. He would smile his sunny smile. But his eyes looked a little less bright. I was worried. I told him to see a doctor. He didn't like doctors. "I'm fine, Lily," he promised. "Just a little cold." But the cold stayed for weeks, then months. He started to lose weight. The sunshine in his face started to fade. The fear in my heart started to grow. It was a small, cold seed, but it was growing every day. Finally, he went to the doctor. I went with him. I held his hand in the waiting room. His hand felt cold. The doctor's office smelled clean and scary. The doctor had a kind face, but sad eyes. He did many tests. We had to wait for the results. Waiting was the hardest part. Every day felt like a year. We tried to be normal. We tried to talk about sunflowers and the ocean. But the fear was always there, a dark cloud in our sunny apartment. Then the results came. We sat in the doctor's office again. I held Leo's hand so tight. The doctor said some long, complicated words. I didn't understand all of them, but I understood the most important ones. Very sick. Not much we can do. Not much time. Time. The word echoed in the quiet room. Time. We always thought we had so much time. Now, suddenly, we had very little. I couldn't breathe. The world stopped. Leo was quiet. He just stared at the doctor. Then he looked at me. He tried to smile, but his smile was broken. It was the saddest thing I had ever seen. The next few days were a blur. Crying, holding each other, not sleeping, not eating. The world outside our apartment continued. People laughed. Cars drove by. The sun came up. But inside our little home, everything was dark. Our dreams were broken, shattered into tiny pieces. Ethan came over as soon as he heard. He stood in our doorway, his face pale. He looked at Leo. His identical face was full of pain. He didn't cry. He just stood there. Then he came and put his arms around his brother. They held each other for a long time. Two halves of the same person. One fading. One left behind. The days turned into weeks. Leo got weaker. He couldn't paint anymore. His hands trembled too much. We moved his bed into the living room so he could look out the window at the sky. Some days were okay. He would talk. He would tell me stories about when he was a boy. He would tell me how much he loved me. We would listen to music. I would read to him from my books. We tried to fill the little time we had with as much love as possible. Other days were bad. He was in pain. He couldn't talk. He just slept. On those days, I would just sit by his bed. I held his hand. I wanted him to know I was there, that he wasn't alone. Ethan was there a lot too. He didn't talk much, but he helped. He cooked meals I couldn't eat. He cleaned the apartment. He talked to the doctors. He was strong in a quiet, steady way. He took care of the practical things, the things my grieving heart couldn't handle. I was grateful for his help, but it was strange, seeing his face. It was Leo's face, but it wasn't Leo. Sometimes, for a second, my heart would jump. I would see him from behind and think Leo was better, that he was walking around again. But then he would turn, and I would see the sadness in his eyes, the seriousness, and I would remember it was Ethan, not my Leo. It was a constant, painful reminder. One evening, Leo was having a good day. He was awake. His voice was a little stronger. He asked me to call Ethan. He said he needed to talk to both of us. Ethan came quickly. He lived just a few blocks away. We sat by Leo's bed, me on one side, Ethan on the other. The room was quiet. The sun was setting outside. It painted the room in soft, orange light. Leo took my hand. Then he reached out and took Ethan's hand. He held our hands together. His own hand felt so fragile, so thin. "Lily," he started. His voice was a whisper. Ethan. He looked at both of us. His eyes were clear and full of a deep, serious love. I am not scared of dying, he said softly. Tears welled up in my eyes. I tried to stop them. I wanted to be strong for him. But I am scared of leaving Lily alone, he continued. I worry about you, Lily. All the time. I squeezed his hand. I will be okay, Leo, I whispered. You don't need to worry about me. He shook his head slowly. No, you are so good, so kind. The world can be a hard place. I need to know you will be safe. I need to know you will be protected. He took a deep breath. It seemed to take all his energy. That is why I need to ask you something. Both of you. It is my last wish. A last wish. The words felt heavy, final. I looked at Ethan. His face was a mask. I couldn't read his thoughts. Ethan, Leo said, looking at his brother. You are strong. You are responsible. You have always looked out for me. Always. Now I need you to look out for Lily. I need you to promise me you will take care of her. Of course, Leo, Ethan said immediately. His voice was thick with emotion. I will always take care of her. You know that. No, Leo said, it's more than that. He paused. He looked at me. His eyes begged me to understand. Lily, I want you to marry Ethan. The words fell into the quiet room. They seemed to suck all the air out. Marry Ethan. I stared at Leo. I thought maybe I heard him wrong. Maybe the sickness was confusing him. But his eyes were clear. He was serious. I pulled my hand away. What, Leo? No, I can't. I love you. I know you love me, he said gently. That will never change. This isn't about love like that. This is about protection, about family. Ethan will keep you safe. He will make sure you are okay. The apartment, the bills, you won't have to worry. You won't be alone. I looked at Ethan. His face was white with shock. He looked angry. Leo, that's crazy, he said. You can't ask that of us. It's not right. It's the only thing that will give me peace, Leo begged. His voice was getting weaker again. He started to cough. Please, don't say no. Please, just think about it. It is all I want. My last wish. To know that the two people I love most in the world will be together. Will take care of each other. Tears were streaming down my face. I felt confused. Hurt. How could he ask this? To marry his brother? His twin? To spend my life with a man who was not him, but looked just like him? It felt like a betrayal. It felt like a nightmare. I can't, Leo, I cried. Please don't ask me to do this. Please, Lily, he whispered. His eyes were closing. He was so tired. For me, promise me. Please. Ethan stood up. He looked at his dying brother. He looked at me, crying. His face was full of conflict, full of pain. He walked over to the window and looked out at the dark street. I could see his shoulders shaking. We didn't answer him that night. Leo fell asleep. Ethan left without another word. I sat by Leo's bed all night. My mind was a storm. Marry Ethan. The quiet, sad man. the constant reminder of my lost love. How could I do it? But how could I refuse a dying man's last wish? The man I loved more than life itself. He wanted peace, and I was the one who could give it to him, or deny it. The next 2 days, Leo was very weak. He didn't talk much, but sometimes he would open his eyes. He would look at me, and he would whisper one word: promise. My heart was breaking. Into a million tiny pieces. I saw Ethan. He looked terrible. He hadn't slept. We didn't talk about Leo's wish. We didn't need to. It was there between us. A heavy, impossible thing. On the 3rd day, I knew I couldn't fight it anymore. I looked at Leo's peaceful, sleeping face. I saw the lines of pain. I saw how much he was fighting to stay. And I knew his worry for me was part of his pain. I had to take that pain away. I found Ethan in the kitchen. He was staring into a cup of cold coffee. "Ethan," I said softly. He looked up. His eyes were red. "I'm going to do it," I told him. "I'm going to tell him yes." He just stared at me. "Lily, you don't have to. We can find another way. I can help you without this." "He won't accept another way," I said. My voice was dull, empty. "He needs to hear this. He needs this peace. I have to give it to him." A single tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. He wiped it away quickly. "Okay," he whispered. "If this is what you want." "Okay." We went back to Leo's bedside. We held his hands again. He was barely awake. "Leo," I whispered, leaning close to him. "We will do it. We promise. I will marry Ethan. We will take care of each other." A small, peaceful smile touched Leo's lips. It was the first real smile I had seen in weeks. "Thank you," he breathed. He squeezed our hands. "Now I can rest." And he did. He slipped into a deep sleep. He looked peaceful. The lines of worry on his face were gone. He died a few hours later, quietly, in his sleep, holding our hands. His last wish granted, our strange, new life just beginning. The funeral was a gray, rainy day. It matched the feeling in my heart. Everything was a blur of black clothes and sad faces. People said kind words. He was so full of life. He was a wonderful man. I knew they were right, but it didn't help. The sunshine was gone from my life, and it was never coming back. Ethan was by my side the whole time, a silent, solid presence. He looked just like Leo in his dark suit. It hurt to look at him. People came to me. They came to him. They gave us both their sympathy. To them, we were both grieving. The woman who lost her love, the man who lost his brother. No one knew about our impossible promise. It was a secret buried with Leo. After the funeral, everyone left. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. It was filled with Leo. His paintings were on the walls. His books were on the shelf. His favorite mug was still by the sink. But he wasn't there. The silence was deafening. Ethan and I stood in the middle of the living room. We were strangers, tied together by a promise to a dead man. "What do we do now?" I asked. My voice sounded small in the big, empty room. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. He looked lost. "I don't know," he said. "Lily, we don't have to do this. He's gone. He wouldn't want you to be unhappy." "A promise is a promise, Ethan," I said. I felt numb, like I was watching my life from far away. "He died in peace because of that promise. I can't break it now." He nodded slowly. He understood. He was a man of his word. Just like he promised Leo he would take care of me, he would do it, even if it was the hardest thing in the world. So a few weeks later, we went to the city hall. It was another gray day. There were no flowers, no white dress, no happy family, just me and Ethan, standing in front of a stranger, saying words that felt like lies. "I do." The words came out of my mouth, but they didn't feel like mine. We signed a paper, and that was it. We were married. Mr. and Mrs. Ethan Gable. It felt so wrong. My name was supposed to be Mrs. Leo Gable. I felt a wave of nausea. This wasn't my life. This was a terrible mistake. We walked home in silence. When we got back to the apartment, the place I had shared with Leo, nothing had changed. And yet, everything had changed. I was now the wife of his brother. "I'll sleep on the couch," Ethan said quietly. He wouldn't even look at me. "No," I said. "This is your home too now, I guess. You can take the spare room." We had a tiny second bedroom. It was mostly used for storage. It was small. He just nodded, and so began our strange marriage. We lived like ghosts in a house full of memories. We slept in separate rooms. We barely spoke. The silence between us was heavy, full of grief, full of things we couldn't say. Ethan went to his job every day. He worked in an office, doing something with numbers. He was very different from Leo, the artist. He was practical, logical. He made sure the bills were paid. He bought groceries. He fixed things around the apartment. He was taking care of me, just like he promised. But it was a cold, silent care. I went to my job at the library. Being surrounded by books was my only comfort. In stories, I could escape my own sad reality. But every evening, I had to come home. Home to the quiet apartment. Home to the man with my beloved's face. Dinners were the worst. We would sit at the small kitchen table. The same table where Leo and I used to laugh and talk for hours. Now, there was only the sound of forks on plates. I would ask, "How was your day?" He would say, "Fine." He would ask, "And yours?" I would say, "Quiet." And that was it. We had nothing else to say to each other. Sometimes I would catch him looking at me. His expression was always sad. I wondered what he was thinking. Did he hate this as much as I did? Did he blame me for this strange prison we were in? I didn't know. I was too scared to ask. I cried a lot, mostly at night in my lonely bed. I cried for Leo, for the life we lost, for the dreams that were now just ghosts. And I cried for myself, for this empty shell of a life I was now living. I felt so trapped. Leo wanted to protect me, But this felt like a cage made of grief and a promise. Friends and family didn't understand, of course. They thought it was strange. Fast. My parents were confused. You married his brother, Lily, so soon. I just said, it's what Leo wanted. They didn't ask more. They just looked at me with pity. One day, an old neighbor saw me getting the mail. "Hello, Mrs. Gable," she said with a cheerful smile. She meant Ethan's name. It felt like a knife in my heart. I wanted to scream. That's not my name. But I just smiled a weak smile and went inside. I locked the door and slid down to the floor. I sobbed until I had no more tears. Ethan found me there when he came home from work. He just stood in the doorway, looking helpless. He didn't know what to do. He wasn't like Leo. Leo would have rushed to me, held me, told me everything would be okay. Ethan just stood there. After a moment, he walked quietly to the kitchen. He came back with a glass of water. He put it on the floor beside me. Then he went to his room and closed the door. He was trying, I knew he was, in his own quiet, awkward way. But his presence was a constant pain. Every time I looked at him, I saw Leo. But I also saw everything I had lost. He was a living ghost in my home, and I hated it. I felt guilty for hating it, but I couldn't help it. Months passed. The seasons changed outside our window, but inside our apartment, it was always winter. A cold, quiet winter of the heart. We continued our silent routine. Work, dinner, separate rooms. We were two lonely people, living side by side, but a million miles apart. I wondered if this was my life forever. Was this the protection Leo wanted for me? A life of quiet, endless sadness? I didn't think so, but I didn't know how to escape. I was bound by my promise, and I was drowning in my grief. The days kept turning into weeks, and the weeks into months. Our silent life continued. It was a routine built on sadness. I started to feel like I was losing myself. The happy, hopeful Lily who loved Leo was gone. In her place was a quiet, sad woman who just went through the motions of living. Ethan remained a mystery. He worked. He came home. He fixed things that were broken. He made sure we had food. He never complained. He never raised his voice. He was just there, a constant, silent presence. I sometimes felt a flicker of anger towards him. It wasn't fair. But then I would look at him, really look at him, and I would see the deep sadness in his eyes. He had lost his brother too, his only brother, his twin. His grief was as deep as mine. He just carried it differently. He carried it in silence. One evening, I was in the kitchen trying to cook. I wasn't a very good cook. Leo had always done most of the cooking. He loved it. He made it fun. For me, it was just a chore. I was trying to make soup, but I wasn't paying attention. My mind was far away, in a memory of Leo. I accidentally touched the hot pot. I cried out in pain and dropped the spoon. Hot soup splashed on the floor. I stood there looking at the mess. My hand hurt. But my heart hurt more. It was all too much. The soup, the silence, the emptiness. I started to cry. Not loud sobs, just quiet, hopeless tears. Ethan heard me. He came into the kitchen. He saw the mess. He saw my tears. He didn't hesitate this time. He walked over to me. Gently, he took my hand and led me to the sink. He turned on the cold water and held my burned hand under the stream. He didn't say a word. He just stood there, holding my hand in the cold water. His touch was gentle, firm. After a few minutes, he turned off the water. He dried my hand carefully with a clean towel. Then he found the first aid kit and put some cream and a bandage on the burn. All in complete silence. When he was done, he looked at my face. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. His voice was full of concern. It was the first time I had heard that tone from him. I just shook my head. "No," I whispered. "I'm not okay." He nodded slowly. "I know," he said. "I'm not okay either." And then he did something that surprised me. He cleaned up the soup from the floor. He ordered a pizza. When it came, we sat at the kitchen table. We ate in silence for a while. But it was a different kind of silence. It wasn't angry or awkward. It was shared. "I miss him so much," I said quietly, looking at my plate. "Me too," Ethan replied. His voice was hoarse. "There's a hole in everything. It doesn't go away." We started to talk. For the first time. Really talk. I told him about the neighbor calling me Mrs. Gable. I told him how much it hurt. He listened. He really listened. He told me things too. He told me that growing up, he always felt like Leo's shadow. Leo was the bright one, the popular one, the talented one. Ethan was just the quiet, serious twin. He said he loved his brother more than anyone, but it was hard sometimes. Always being compared. Always feeling like the lesser version. "He asked me to protect you," Ethan said, looking at his hands. "It's the last thing he ever asked me to do. And I feel like I am failing. I am just making you more miserable." "It's not your fault," I said, and I realized I meant it. It's no one's fault. It's just sad. That night was a turning point. A tiny crack in the wall of ice between us. We didn't suddenly become best friends, but we weren't just silent roommates anymore. We started talking a little more. Small things about our day, about a book I was reading, about a problem he had at work. We decided to do something about the apartment. It was a museum of Leo. It was painful for both of us. One weekend, we packed up his painting supplies. We put his canvases in careful storage. We didn't get rid of them. That would feel wrong. But we made space for the present. I bought a new plant for the living room. Ethan put up a new bookshelf for my books. We were slowly, carefully, making the apartment ours. Not just Leo's. We even started to share memories of Leo. Before, I couldn't talk about him. It hurt too much. But now, sharing the memories with Ethan felt good. He would tell me funny stories from their childhood. I would tell him about our dream of seeing the ocean. We would laugh sometimes, and sometimes we would cry. But we were doing it together. The grief was still there, but it wasn't as lonely anymore. I started to see Ethan, the real Ethan, not just the man who looked like Leo. I saw his quiet strength, his deep loyalty, his hidden kindness. I noticed small things, like how he always made sure the coffee pot was full in the morning because he knew I loved coffee, or how he would leave a newspaper on the table, open to the book review section for me. He never said anything. He just did it. One Saturday, we were working in the small patch of garden behind our building. Leo had planted some things there, but they were overgrown now. We were pulling weeds side by side in the sunshine. It was quiet, peaceful work. Leo wanted to plant sunflowers here, I said softly. Ethan stopped and looked at the empty patch of soil. I know, he said. He talked about it all the time. He smiled a small, genuine smile. It was rare to see him smile. It changed his whole face. He looked younger, less sad. We should do it, he said, for him. So we did. We went to the store and bought seeds. We spent the whole afternoon planting them. Our hands got dirty. We worked together. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt a little bit of hope. A tiny seed of hope, just like the sunflower seeds we were planting in the ground. As we were cleaning up, Ethan looked at me. Lily, he said. His voice was serious. I know this is hard. This whole situation. Our marriage. I want you to be happy. That's all Leo wanted too. If you ever want to leave, if this is too much, I will understand. I won't stop you. The promise was to protect you, not to trap you. I looked at him. At this kind, serious man who had been silently carrying his own grief while trying to uphold a promise to his brother. And I realized something. I wasn't trapped anymore. The cage had disappeared. I didn't feel the need to run away. For the first time, our quiet apartment started to feel a little bit like home again. I don't want to leave, Ethan, I said. And the surprising thing was, it was the truth. The sunflowers grew, tall and strong, facing the sun, just like Leo. They made our little garden bright and happy. And just like the sunflowers, something between me and Ethan was growing too. It was slow. It was quiet, but it was real. Our evening talks became longer. We discovered we had things in common. We both liked old movies. We both enjoyed quiet walks. We started going for walks after dinner. We didn't talk much during the walks. We just walked side by side. The comfortable silence felt good. It was a world away from the heavy, painful silence of the beginning. One evening, we were watching an old black and white movie. It was a love story, a sad one. At the end of the movie, I had tears in my eyes. I tried to hide them. I still felt strange showing my emotions around him sometimes. Ethan noticed. He didn't say anything. He just reached over and gently took my hand. His hand was warm, strong. He just held my hand as the credits rolled on the screen. It wasn't a passionate gesture. It was just kind, comforting. It felt nice. It felt right. I didn't pull my hand away. My feelings for Ethan were changing. I knew they were. I was confused. I felt guilty. How could I feel this way about Leo's brother? It felt like a betrayal. I loved Leo. I would always love Leo. But the feelings I had for Ethan were different. My love for Leo was like a bright, sunny day, full of laughter and big dreams. My feelings for Ethan were like a quiet, peaceful evening, a warm blanket and a safe harbor. It wasn't a replacement for Leo. It was something new, something that grew out of shared sadness and quiet understanding. I struggled with these feelings for a long time. I would look at Ethan's face, so like Leo's, and my heart would ache with confusion. But then he would do something that was purely Ethan. He would fix my wobbly chair without me asking. He would bring me a book from the library he thought I would like. He would look at me with his serious, kind eyes. And I would see him, just him. One day we drove to the coast. It was my birthday. He remembered I had told him about my dream with Leo, to see the ocean. "It's not a big trip," he said awkwardly. "But I thought, maybe you'd like to see it." I was so touched I couldn't speak. We spent the day walking on the beach. The ocean was huge, powerful, beautiful. I took off my shoes and felt the sand between my toes. I felt the cold water wash over my feet. I closed my eyes and breathed in the salty air. I thought of Leo. I felt sad that he never got to see this, but I also felt peaceful. I opened my eyes and looked at Ethan. He was watching me, with a soft expression on his face. Not sadness, something else. "Thank you, Ethan," I said. "This is the best gift." "You're welcome, Lily," he said. We stood there for a long time, watching the waves. "Leo would have loved this," I said. "Yes," Ethan agreed. "He would have been running and splashing in the water like a little kid." We both smiled at the thought. The memory was happy, not painful. On the drive home, I knew I had to be honest. With him, with myself. My heart was pounding. "Ethan," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course," he said, keeping his eyes on the road. "My feelings, they are changing," I said. It was so hard to say the words out loud. "I'm confused. I feel guilty. But I think I'm starting to have feelings for you. Not as Leo's brother, but as you." Ethan was silent. He kept driving. My heart sank. I thought I had made a terrible mistake, that I had ruined our fragile friendship. He pulled the car over to the side of the road. He turned off the engine. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he turned to me. His eyes were shining. "Lily," he said. His voice was full of emotion. "I have loved you for a long time, even before I saw how happy you made Leo. You were like sunshine to him, to our whole family. I never said anything. I couldn't. He was my brother. And you loved him. After he was gone, I thought my only job was to take care of you, to keep my promise. I never thought, I never let myself hope that you could ever see me. I stared at him. I was speechless. He had loved me all this time. I love you, Lily, he said again, his voice clear and steady. Not because Leo asked me to, but because you are kind and strong and beautiful. I love you for you. Tears streamed down my face, but they were happy tears, tears of relief, of understanding. He reached out and gently wiped a tear from my cheek. His touch was warm. I love you too, Ethan, I whispered. And as I said it, I knew it was true. My heart felt full, not broken. He leaned in slowly. He kissed me. It was a soft, gentle kiss. It was not like Leo's kisses. It was Ethan's kiss. It was full of quiet patience and deep affection and a love that had waited a very long time. It was the beginning of our real story. Our marriage didn't start with a happy wedding. It started with a dying wish. It was built on grief and a promise. But slowly, carefully, we turned it into something real, something beautiful. We built a new life from the ashes of our old one. We still miss Leo. We always will. We talk about him often. We visit his grave, and we put sunflowers there. He is a part of our story, a part of our love, but we are not living in his shadow anymore. We are living in the light. Leo's last wish felt like a burden, a cage. But he knew his brother better than I did. He knew Ethan's quiet strength. He knew his deep heart. Maybe, in his wisdom, he knew that the two people he loved most could find comfort in each other. He didn't just want me to be protected. He wanted me to be happy. He wanted his brother to be happy too. And his strange, impossible wish made it happen. My name is Lily. My life is not the simple, sunny life I dreamed of with Leo. It is something different. It is quieter, deeper. It is a life of shared memories and new beginnings. It is a life with Ethan. And it is a good life, a happy life. If you are listening to this, and your life has taken a path you did not expect, do not lose hope. Sometimes, the most difficult roads lead to the most beautiful places. Sometimes, love and happiness come in ways we can never imagine. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. But keep your heart open. Be brave. Keep going. You are stronger than you think, and you can find your own sunshine again. You can do this too.